Welcome you all for Etabs tutorial. Double click on this icon. Click on new model. In this model initialization tab, we will set the settings for the current model. Three ways you can set the settings for the model. The first one is default setting. The software itself has saved some of the settings of the previous analysis. You can use those settings for your model, or you can import some of the settings from another model, or you can set a new setting of your own for the current model. Now I am going to select metric SI for the display unit, then Indian for steel section database, then IS 800 2007 for steel code design, then IS 456 2000 for concrete design code. Click OK to escape from this dialog box. Now in this new model quick template, we need to enter the information for the current model. Now there are two sections are there. One it is grid dimension, another one is story dimension. And a grid dimension, we are going to enter the number of grid lines that we need to form or construct along x and y direction, and spacing of grids along x and y direction. When it comes to story dimension, we will be entering here the number of stories that we need to construct and what is the height of each story. If the grid spacings are not uniform, we will want to go for custom grid spacing. Now let us consider this as an example. This is a plan showing the center to center distance between the wall. For this plan, I need to form a grid system like this. Now if you take this as an origin, here they have constructed, wherever they have constructed a wall, we need to place a beam over it. Therefore here, here, here and here they have constructed a wall. Means in these lines I need to form a grid, for these I need to form a grid system. Now how many grid lines I need to form along x direction is 1, 2, 3 and 4. I have constructed 1, 2, 3 and 4 grid lines along x direction. Likewise for y direction, here 2, 3 and 4. Therefore total number of grid lines along y direction is 1, 2, 3 and 4. That we need to enter into the software. Number of grid lines along x direction, that is 1, 2, 3 and 4. That we need to enter here. Then number of grid lines along y direction. Number of grid lines along y direction is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now let us assume it is the building as G plus 2, means ground floor plus 2 means total number of floors will be 3, or total number of stories it will be 3. Let us assume the height of each story as 3 meter itself. Now if you consider this grid, now the dimension along x and y direction is same, therefore it is a uniform grid. But if you take this grid, it is not uniform. If the grid spacings are different, then we need to go for custom grid spacing. Select this option, click on edit grid data. Now I want to choose spacing because it will be easier to form a grid line. Now what is the spacing between grid A to B? It is 2.95. I need to enter this value here, A to B. Then what is the spacing between B to C? B to C, it is 0.85. It is 0.85. Next, what is the spacing between C to D? It is 1.05. 1.05. Next, what is the spacing between D to D? It is 0. Next, when it comes to Y grid, now what is the spacing between grid number 1 to grid number 2? It is 1.05. Now what is the spacing between grid number 2 to grid number 3? It is 3.2 meter. Now what is the distance between grid number 3 to grid number 4? It is 2.95. Then grid number 4 to grid number 4 it is 0. Press double enter to escape from the dialog box. Select grid only option, click OK to exit from the dialog box. Now what you are seeing here, it is a plan view and this is 3D view. Now what are the elements? If the elements or properties remain the same for each and every flows, you can construct all the elements, you can assign all the loads for one story, and you can copy it or you can replicate for the corresponding stories. Before it, we need to define three things here. One, it is material property, section property. Under section property we will be defining the frame property and slab property. Another one is load. Now first one is material property. Go to define, select material property. You're going to get a dialog box. In this dialog box you need to add two materials. We need to define two materials. One, it is reinforcement, rebar as reinforcement, and another is concrete. Now click on new, add new material, select India from this drop down list for region. Then we'll be defining the reinforcement as rebar. Then select the grade of steel depending upon the requirement. I have selected HYSD 4 and 5. Click OK. Again click OK to escape from the dialog box. Now we have defined one material, it is the rebar. Another one that we need to define, it is the concrete. Go to again add new material. Instead of rebar you need to select concrete. Depending upon the requirement you select the grade of concrete. I will be selecting it as M25 grade. Click OK. Again click OK. Click OK to define and exit from the dialog box. Now we have defined material property. The next one is section property. Under section property, the first one is the frame section. Frame is an assemblage of beam and a column. We need to define two properties here. One, it is beam, another one is column. For this you need to click on add new property, select concrete rectangular or any shape what you want. I will going to select rectangular. Then you click on the shape. In this dialog box you need to define the property. Let us define the beam property as B 230 by 350, breadth 230 millimeter, depth is 350 millimeter. Since we are designing it as a reinforced concrete, let's select the material as concrete. We have defined it as M25 grade. Now what is the depth of the beam? 350 millimeter. Width of the beam, it is 230 millimeter. Now click on modify or show rebar. Here we are designing the property as a beam. Select beam only. Now we have defined the rebar material as HYSD 4 and 5. That we need to select from the drop down list. Provide 30 millimeter as cover for both top and bottom reinforcement. Click OK. Again click OK to define the beam property. Now we need to define another property, is a frame, that is frame section, that is column. Again click on add new property, select concrete rectangular, click on the shape. Now here we need to define for column. While defining for column property, the beam width and column width should match. In that way we need to define the property. Now beam I have given 230 millimeter wide. Same thing I need to provide for column also. Therefore C 230 by 400. Now since we are designing it as RC column, therefore we need to select the concrete material, that is M25 grade. Then the depth of the column is 400 millimeter. Then the width of the column is 230 millimeter. Click on modify show rebar. Here designing it as a column. Then from this drop down list we need to select the rebar material which we have defined earlier. Provide a cover for reinforcement as 40 millimeter for all the bars and all the sides. Then click OK. Again click OK to exit from the dialog box. Click OK to define the frame section property. Now we will define another property, that is under slab section, under section property. Click on add new property. Here we need to define the slab as 150 millimeter. Slab 150, means slab is of 150 millimeter thick. We need to select membrane for model type in the dialog in the drop down list. Then what is the depth of the slab that we need to provide? It is 150 millimeter. Click OK. Again click OK to define the slab property. Now the last one is we need to define the loads. Go to define. Another, we need to click on load patterns. The system itself has defined two loads. One, it is dead load with self multiplier 1. Self multiplier 1 means the system itself will be calculating the load. We are not inputting any load, but for live load we need to enter the load based upon IS 875 part 2, that is live load. Now we need to define other two loads. One, it is wall load, selected as super dead with self multiplier 0. We are not constructing wall here. Wherever the wall we are constructing, we are converting that wall load on, and we are transferring that wall load on a beam. Now we need to define another load, that is floor finish, as super dead with self multiplier 0 for slabs. Now so far we have defined four loads. One, it is dead load, live load, wing load, wall load, and floor finish. Click OK to escape from the dialog box. Now we need to draw the elements. The first one is the beam. Wherever they have provided a wall, in that we need to draw a beam. Now you can use this option for drawing a beam. You need to select the property from this drop down list. Now click between 2 points to create a beam. In order to undo the selection, just right click it on your mouse. That will be unselected. Wherever you can place a beam now. Wherever you can start to place a beam. Otherwise you can use this option for quick draw. Just need to place on a grid line to create a beam.